Okay, I'm back. So, welcome back to Fabishmak podcast. The last time I recorded like an episode, like I could consider myself a podcaster, was like last year October. I mean, I have done some stuff, but since then there's a lot that's happened, and yeah, I so since October, I've gone down a very long windy road, and that road has led me back here. So, the year ended. What else happened? Oh, I started a company. What else happened? Kenya was in crisis. I almost died. I graduated at some point, and then here we are now. So yeah, it's been a very interesting few months. But I'm gonna just catch up on everything because it's like my yearly catch up. I'm getting back on the podcasting train, and this time I'm doing it very differently. So hopefully it's going to be better. Now I'm a few months older and wiser, so hopefully we're going to do things a little bit better. Hopefully this one sounds much better too. Hold on. There we go. So let me start with my near death experience. I'm just gonna start with that because I mean that's probably why you click this video. But so let me just give you the quick story, okay? Me and a few other loved ones, we decided to go on a trip to Naivasha, Lake Naivasha. And you know that Lake Naivasha has hippos and it's a freshwater lake. And obviously, like if you live in Africa, or even if you don't, you should know that hippos are some of the deadliest animals on the planet. That's just fact. And for the longest time, I grew up by the Lake Victoria. So this is not like new news to me. I've known this for a long time. Hippos and crocodiles, I've heard of horrendous stories of them killing people. But for some reason, we were like, yeah, let's just go. I mean, the chances of you ever thinking you're going to die is very low. Also, because we as human beings always tend to think it's other people. Like if there's an accident, we think, yeah, we're just like invincible to this stuff. It's another person. So anyway, so the way Lake Naivasha, like there's a few islands. It's a freshwater lake inside the country. So it's one of those Rift Valley lakes. And so if you know geography, the Rift Valley is a valley that was created by fault lines, movement of tectonic plates, and so it created a fault line from the top of Africa, pretty much like from the edge of Israel all the way down, and it goes all the way down to Mozambique. So it stretches throughout East Africa, and so it has a lot of features. It has escarpment. It has a lot of like vegetation. It has lakes, and so these lakes were created because as the fault lines were forming, rain um, collected, and the rivers that might have been running across that area, those basins formed, and so they formed these lakes. Pretty cool. And so some of these lakes did not have outlets, and so the way they are is they become salty, and so like Baringo, Bogoria, Nakuru, they all are salty, and they have like lots of flamingos. Well, I know Bogoria does. I don't. Nakuru does too, but there are different kinds of flamingos. Anyway, long story short, Lake Naivasha is not a salty lake. It sips the water underground. It doesn't have like a natural outlet, but the water comes underground. So yeah, it's a freshwater lake, so fish can survive there, and hippos can survive there. So of course, there's like so many hippos. I don't even know who introduced them in that area. So Naivasha used to be like a white settlement area in the colonial period, and so maybe that's why they're there. But who knows? So anyway, so we get on this boat, and it's one of those like boats that if you've gone on safari in Africa, they it has like a small motor at the back, and someone's directing it, and it like hits the waves and all that. So we get onto the boat, we're going towards the island, and there's a few islands. So you kind of choose your tour guide will tell you where to go, and on these islands, there's like so many animals. It's really pretty too. So it's really cool. We saw giraffes, we saw zebras, we saw oh man, beetles. I was stung by a nettle, the nettle plant. I've never. It's really painful. We saw. There's a few other things we saw. I can't even remember, but I know we saw. Oh, warthogs. So yeah, it was fun. So we walked somewhere, we sat, we ate. It was around 2 p.m. We walked around, we saw like giraffes. And it's funny because this place, because it was like the Rift Valley, there's a lot of very interesting granite rocks. And what's that? What's that really black? I know there's like, oh man, there's this really black sharp rocks that was used to make arrows a long time ago. So anyway, there's a lot of deposit of those rocks there. So we were walking. It's a really beautiful place. As long as you're not stung by the nettle. Um, but anyway, so we decided, okay, well, we're just gonna walk around. We're gonna go to the creator, whatever, blah blah blah. And then halfway there, we were like, it's too far. Let's come back. Now we had gone there around like one. So we're coming back. It's already like 5 p.m., And so this guy had dropped us on one side of the like island. And so we're walking back to another side, and we realized, okay, hold on 1 second. That guy is not there yet. So we're gonna have to stand here and wait. And immediately that there's that fear that kicks in because you realize how vulnerable you are. And I wish I might have someone else, Sarah or someone else, come back and like tell this story better. But I everyone else kind of seemed chill, because maybe they didn't see as serious as I did. Because growing up, all the stories of hippos killing people came to me. So we are standing in this clearing, and there's bushes on both sides, and like there's this like fear that's like creeping in, and I'm looking like constantly, like looking like where are they? And so the lake is like right in front of us, so we can see the whole lake. And behind us is all like trees and stuff. So in our minds, we're like, if the hippos come out of the woods and start chasing us, we'll just climb a tree, or there was like some logs, so we'd climb those logs. But still, like you're trying to calculate and think, where would they come from? Would we run them? Because they're very fast too. So anyway, it quickly, for some reason, just like a movie, it quickly becomes darker very quickly, and we're like, oh no. And this guy, so our guide calls the boat dude, and like he's like, well, I'm gonna turn around. And so then we finally see him. Now it's already like maybe like, wait, no, the things come out around 6, so it was like maybe 5:20 maybe. So we had like 40 minutes max. And then we look over, like not so far away, like maybe like 70 meters. I don't know how many yards that is, but a few meters, like maybe um the length of, yeah, maybe let me say 40 yards, maybe, yeah, 40-50 yards. And we see a hippo grazing. It just came out of the water and it's just grazing there. And immediately I go, oh no, uh-uh, that's kind of scary. And so now we're like, this boat guy better come right now. And then like the way hippos come out of the water and they breathe. So then they keep we start hearing those like intense like breathing, like they're pushing the air out and spreading out the water. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to be here. And as time goes by, you start thinking, okay, so how are you gonna get on the boat? So, because for the boat has to come in all the way, and then you kind of have to jump onto the boat. But the boat, there's no harbor or anything, so it's kind of coming out onto the like grass. Um, and I'm thinking, at any point, this can get very deadly, because these things are killers. They don't joke. So then we see like a couple hippos to one side, like two or three, and then we see like 4 or 5. And this guy is supposed to come right between them. So at any point, they might turn this boat. So anyway, he sees them and he kind of maneuvers them, comes around, comes all the way in to where we are. So finally, we're like, okay. And then, like, we're like, okay, we're out of the land. We get onto the boat. And then quickly realize, oh, now I'm in the boat. It's a very tiny like boat. It's not like a huge thing, so it can turn at any point. Um, and you realize, well, we thought we were safe. Like for a second, you feel safe, and then you realize, oh, well, I don't know. And so then one of the guide goes, well, they're scared of the engine. So then you see that the hippo we saw initially like grazing goes into the water, right? And so you can't see anything. You keep hearing the sounds of them like pushing water out, but you can't really see them. So then, what ends up happening is that this guy starts the motor. It comes out. he's coming out, he turns around, and we start going, and then the engine dies. I am not kidding you. You hear the engine just go dead. And I remember just thinking, oh no. And I could see the pictures and the videos and the news about how he died by the lake by hippos. And I could see someone sitting somewhere in their house saying, well, why did they go there? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, why are we even here? It was, and then so then like we're like, we're kind of alarmed because you want to feel safe. You want to feel like you're leaving. Anyway, I'm sitting next to an 11-year-old, right? And I remember, like, in that moment, the guy starts the engines. And as he's starting the engines, we look to our side, and like 10 steps one way is a hippo. He comes out, he looks at us, and like, he's so mean. Like, there's no way he would look at anything else. He looks at us and then goes back down. Then the engine starts to like, and then the engine dies again. And at this point, you're like freaking out. Now the 11-year-old next to me grabs my arm and he's like crying. I'm like, so then like I was, because for you to balance the boat, you have to sit on both sides. I had to move to the middle, yeah. And so I'm sitting in the middle because the hippo is over here. So I'm sitting in the middle holding her because she's like freaking out. Everyone is freaking out. Even the guide, you can now start telling that he's like, he's telling the guy, the driver, that, hey, the captain, they call him. It's like, have you seen that, the one on the side? And the captain didn't see it. So he's like, where is it? He's like, he's right here. And like, where is it? He's like, he's right here. And then that thing comes up and it's like 5 steps away. So now you could, it does like, and then goes back down. And now we're all like, oh my God, get us out of here. And so at this point, I just started saying, I was asking myself, like, why did I even go here? And like, you start questioning so many things. And like, you pray. And in that moment, you see every single, like, if you wanted clarity, that's when it comes. Like, you see every single thing that matters to you. And I saw my family, I saw my girlfriend, I saw all these things. Like in my head, I was like, oh, I don't know how they're gonna feel. And so then this guy starts this thing, and then like eventually, like, in my head, I'm like, that thing is coming. It might be under us now. And like growing up, I used to watch movies of like people in the Amazon, like on boats or canoes, and like and there's a snake, and they're doing stupid stuff, and then they get eaten or killed or whatever. And then I'm like, well, we are definitely going to be that group. So anyway, so like everyone's freaking out, everyone's panicking. It's cold, it's dark, and we're like pretty much in their territory. And now, like they're coming out, they're everywhere. You can tell, like like when you can just feel that you're being like watched. We knew they were everywhere. So eventually, the guy starts the boat. We leave, and I'm thinking to myself, like maybe like 5 more minutes and we would have died. Like for real, 5 more minutes and we would have died. And everyone on the boat, like, went home very quiet and on our way back because it was like a 1 hour boat ride. So the good thing is like hippos can't come to the middle of the ocean, of the lake. They can only like stay on the shallow edges. So as the moment we got into like the deeper edge, we were fine. But still, like, there's that fear because now you realize we're gonna have a dock to come out, and over there's also hippos. So yeah, like it wasn't a great experience. And then I'm gonna put a video at the end of what these things look like. They're huge. They're very big, and they swim very fast. Like if you think those things like they're very fat, so you think no, they can't do anything. Those things are huge and very fast. So I was very aware. Anyway, so then we finally like we get in the middle of the ocean, and then someone goes, you know, everyone was scared about the hippo. I was just scared I couldn't swim. And I remember like thinking to myself, like, like in crisis, we all just become human, and we were thinking about the hippo, and he was like, well, I can't swim. So if this happens, I'm like double dead pretty much. I'm like crispy ball, gone. And I'm gonna either drown, I'm gonna be killed by hippo. But anyway, so yeah, that was my near death experience. I don't think anyone in that situation would have been brave. Maybe one or two people were, I remember, but I just remember like thinking, well, for some reason I thought about more like what would people say, which maybe speaks a lot to what I think. Like I care more about what people think. I don't know, but I was just like, what would people say? Like what are the tabloids gonna say? And I know it would have been like a weekly search of these missing people, killed by Hippo, and it would just be like tabloids and Fabish Mark, we miss you. 10 years anniversary since you were gone. All those kind of stuff. And then like they would have this thing, like those like theories and stuff that, oh yeah, maybe they didn't die, maybe this happened, or they disappeared, or blah blah blah, or this. I feel like we would have just created, someone somewhere would have made a documentary, and then there was a joke that if any of us survived, we would have started an Amazon like book deal and had a podcast, which I already have. So hey, but yeah, I thought that was so funny. So yeah, so that's one thing I've been doing while I was not podcasting. Something else is I started a company, Prime Connect. We deliver groceries from Nairobi to the outside communities of expats. So if you know somebody who needs groceries or produce or fish, either freshwater or saltwater, like the ocean fish, please just call me, text me, or you can just go to our social media, Prime Connect. It's available. We're available everywhere. We deliver everywhere. Right now, our primary places are Kijabi, Bomet, but we're exploring Nanyuki, Machakos, all these other areas. So if you know a huge settlement of expats or people who might be, who make trips to Nairobi so many times to buy produce or like groceries, because there's some things that maybe you don't use. Like for me, if I live outside Nairobi, I would bring stuff for my hair. I would buy Cantu, for example. I use this product called Cantu. So I would buy that. Or, like electronics for like a microphone. So you never know what you need. Or, if I'm going to a boarding school outside Nairobi, I might need a graduation gown. Who knows? But anyway, there's always something you might need. So yeah, Prime Connect. So if you know somebody who needs something, just let us know. What else have I been doing? Oh, well, the usual Manchester United. That was fun. We had a very, very terrible season last year, like I'm a huge Manchester United fan. So that should not like surprise you. And a new season begins tomorrow, Saturday, the 10th. We are doing our first game, and I think we're going to lose, but that's okay. It's not that important. It's just a charity match, but it's great to win. But like it's one of those things where for this period, I've had like 2 months of no football, like no club football, and I've been feeling pretty good. But I know from tomorrow the anxiety begins, because you just know you're very happy before the season, before the ball is kicked, but once they do, you realize, oh no, that's we're not that good, and then you start realizing we're gonna have a very long season. Something else, what else happened? My country, Kenya, has been in crisis. There's been uprising of Gen Z versus the government, and there's all that. So I'm not gonna go deep into that. Everyone, I feel like if you want to know, you can just Google that. It's a huge deal, but we just hope that peace can come, and then people can live justly and fairly, and can have better livelihood. So that's all I'm gonna say on that. What else? Let me think. Huh. Oh yeah, I graduated. I graduated in December. So I don't think I said that. I have done school online for close to 3 years. And this is actually something I wanted to give out to people if you ever want to pursue this line. Because as we go forward, technology becomes more accessible, AI becomes more prevalent, and just like the the ease in accessing tools or resources becomes very like, I mean, you can just like, anyone has a phone. Like I don't know what the percentage is, but I would guess in every 5 people, maybe three have a phone. So you can access the internet, you can access reading stuff, books, all these things, and there's so much resources online. It's free. Sorry, I had to cut that part out. I sneezed, and there's nothing worse than a sneeze in the middle of a podcast, or like when you're just talking, you could choke. So anyway, from an African perspective, school is paramount. It's important. It's the It's the basis by which you are judged. Did you go to school? Did you not go to school? Are you smart? Are you not smart? Would you be successful if you went to school? If you did it. And it's so rigorous, and it's very like um I I, I don't like I don't even aggressive. It's aggressive. Like people are very aggressive about school. But as we continue to develop, we start realizing that college, and this might sound very controversial, especially in Kenya, college is not what they make it seem. Because one, it's very expensive, and two, it's very time consuming. If you live in a campus, right, that's guaranteed 4 years of your life side. So you're either going to go in for 4 years and waste your time, or you're going to go in for 4 years and come out very successful. But most people are not always going to be doctors, lawyers, and engineers. Like most people will do like the middle level courses, like teaching, being like I don't know, like just like a business or something not hard, education, PE, physical education, all these kind of things. So they're very easy to do. So majority of people actually go to college not to study but for the experience. So you pay a high like fee to go to school and spend time with your friends and be silly and do all these things. And in my opinion, my advice is this: if you have a kid, or you're not a kid, or you are finishing high school, my advice will be when you finish high school, if you're smart enough. Now, if you're not smart, don't try this. But if you're smart enough, you can find a way to do school online. It's way cheaper, and there's enough resources. As long as you don't cheat, you can find a way to do school online, and then you'll be studying the same course as those who are in school, but you also have a lot of time to do other things. So you can start a business, you can learn about life, you can move out, you can do all these things while doing college. Whereas, like, if you go to school, you have to pay for boarding fees, you have to pay for food, and you have to, like, pretty much, like, you don't have any freedom, you don't work, you're pretty much in school. And so for me that just didn't make sense. Like I just leaving it. I already went to boarding school for high school. I don't think I was gonna go to another boarding school for college. That's just crazy. So anyway, yeah, so I graduated. That was great. I really enjoyed college. I did not need the experience, so that was awesome. What else has been going on? Hmm. Well, yeah, so I didn't quit podcasting, but for some for some reason, like the end of 2023 was like the boom of podcasts. Everyone was doing podcasts. So I decided, let me just take a step back. Let me wait for all like the because most podcasts die at the third episode. So I was like, well, let me just wait for the third or fourth episode of this podcast, and then they realize how hard it is, and they'll quit, and then I'll come back in. So I think that podcast frenzy has kind of died. So now at least it's better to come back in, and I do want to try and make it more educational and find people who actually are experts or staff and talk to them because I'm really fascinated by people. But like why people choose to do what they do. Like if like today I was going to work and I saw this guy drilling a hole in the road, and I kept thinking, I wonder if like they grew up wanting to do that, or they found themselves doing that, and I wonder if they're satisfied doing that, or like if they're not. So yeah, there's those kind of things where I look at people, what people do, and there are people who enjoy what they do because they're the best at it, and they're born to do it. The people, like you can see someone drive like a public vehicle, especially in Kenya, and you realize this person was born to do this. Like, there's nowhere else they would rather be than here. And normally, because of just how like materialistic our world has become, we always think such jobs or like jobs that we don't see as successful or like as attractive as as lucrative as we like the society deemed them to be, jobs that no one wanted. But there are people who just love doing stuff. As a kid, I busted so many pipes. Um, and I was fascinated by running water. I don't know why, but I was always fascinated by running water. Like, and for some reason, like the roads, because of how where I grew up was it rained a lot. they would put these pipes not so deep under the ground. And so what would happen is it would rain, then the soil would be eroded, and then you would see a pipe popping out. And of course, I would just take a rock, a sharp rock, and bang. And I know this sounds so bad, but I would bust it. Um, just to see like the water like sprinkling out, and like the idea that like they can somehow like tap this water, and then like bring it through these pipes to our homes. And you think about it like a city, how many homes are in a city and how much pipes just run underground. And like there's like one main one, and there's all these tiny ones that go throughout, because every house has enough water. If you think about like how much water is used in a city in a day and who provides that, it's actually a crazy idea that we all live just in like this, like clusters of like houses, and they're all just, we just wake up and we expect water to be there. We expect to shower. You live in an apartment block and every apartment has water, and you don't know how like the planning of a city is insane. So those kind of things really, really, I'm so like passionate about. And so if anything, I think the most peaceful job I would have done is being a plumber, because I don't know, I just love water, and like connecting water and see it run one way, and like knowing that, oh, this house is supplied by water because of me. And so I love doing that. Another thing that I really loved for some reason was metal work, welding, like watching people weld stuff, and not just like the like the normal fix it welding. No, like high level welding, where like you see people make things out of nothing, and like they make these insane structures. Um, I watched how like these people build a skyscraper, and like how they were welding, like you'd see like the welding uh the well, when you weld, there's that particles that like the cracks, the fire cracks, like cracking everywhere, and it's just an amazing sight to the, because that's almost like symbolizes growth. When you see that, oh wow, that's like a building going up. Someone's gonna live there soon. Or like it's incredible how welders now have become so important in the world of today, especially like in concerts. How like they will weld these amazing, insane structures, and then like they'll just weld them back out, like cut them back down. And so just the idea of like putting metal to metal and making stuff has just been something I've always been so like passionate about. The other one is woodwork. Now, I went to a high school that provided welding classes, woodwork. They didn't have plumbing, but I never took any of them. Now I kind of regret that, because like just the amount of stuff. I'm not talented by any chance, but like watching someone just take a piece of wood, carve it, and work on it, and then bring like this amazing, beautiful table, like just watching their work, like just sitting there and watching them from start. Like they do the measuring, and you're like, what do they do? And it's all in someone's mind. So that stuff fascinates me. Something else that fascinates me that I've kind of started like getting like into recently is world building, and it's like science fiction stuff, which is, I love the Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon series. And this it's become an entire like industry. There's so many prequels and like movies and like um mugs and T-shirts, and like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole moving thing, and it's crazy that it all came from the brain of one man, and he came up with all this. And so sometimes I hear like I go to a YouTube channel, and they talk about they talk about theories of how the dragons came to be, and I'm like, that all that was just made by one man. It's all in his brain. Um, and he somehow sat down and created the entire universe. Same to Dune, one of the best movies ever that came out. I'm not like a huge fan of Star Wars, and I think Dune is what Star Wars, the bad part of Star Wars should have been. Like the way it was just done, like the music score, like the film itself was amazing. The cast, it was awesome. And so Frank Herbert, who wrote the Dune series, like he wrote the entire world, he built the entire world. So now, when you think about Dune, you talk about like Sandworms and Fremens and all these people, and you argue about where they came from, but it all came from one person's mind. Same to Lord of the Rings. The entire universe of the Lord of the Rings came from one person's mind. That's crazy. Same to Narnia. you know, or like C.S. Lewis. He just sat down and he built every single like character and like built all these like creatures. And you might think it's easy, to just come up with stuff. It's not. To make it to where you have single characters condensed down to complex characters with like personality and like just like life and you can relate to, it's not easy. So I am fascinated by how people can build worlds, and I assume or I imagine, because I'm the same. I think like every single human being has an entire universe in their brain, which is beautiful, but we might never get to see. So like I know, like as you're just doing your own things, you have things in your brain, or you have like ideas and characters and all these things in your brain that no one else will ever get access to. You might just write them down. It might not make any sense, but you do. That's why dreams, you know, like are valid, because you're building like every single person has a universe they wish, or like they a universe that reflects what they think their life should be. And so that should be, like it would be very interesting if you could watch what somebody viewed their future to be. It would be very interesting because we do have like the normal, like, cookie cutter, like, oh, this is what a perfect life looks like. But I wonder, like, what if you could just like project, someone's universe and what that would look like. I wonder what that would look like. I think it would be very fascinating for sure. So yeah, I I don't know. I'm fascinated by all that. So I'm back to podcasting. I'm gonna find people like that, people who are very passionate about what they do and they have a lot of like knowledge. And just talk to them about stuff and have a good time. So yeah, but if you've listened to the end, thank you so much. I'm officially back. So I'm gonna try to post. I'm also very lazy when it comes to podcasts because there's so much that life catches up with that you sometimes just forget. But I'll try my best. So anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon.